I understand why people go to a doctor and seek a diagnosis, and I don't want to take that away from people if they find it helpful. But what I do want is to make people aware of the uncertainties and also the potential downsides of a diagnosis, so someone can go to the doctor with the tools to ask the right questions so that they can be sure that that diagnosis will be more beneficial than it will be harmful to them. I'd also like us to think a little bit as a society about whether it's possible to support people without medical diagnosis sometime. I wrote The Age of Diagnosis because I have become increasingly worried that we are turning healthy people into patients. I think we've become all too willing to label difference as medical disorder. And I think we're so enamored with the technological side of medicine that we're allowing it to replace that very important in-person, face-to-face therapeutic encounter with a doctor. I think what's important for people to understand is that there's been a huge rise in autism. So 50 years ago, it affected about 1 in 2,500 people. These days, it affects about 1 in 36 children, and actually in Northern Ireland, it's thought to affect 1 in 20 children. So these are astonishing rises in prevalence. And I think the most important question to ask is whether there is true value in diagnosing autism at the very milder end of the spectrum. There's no doubt that people with severe autism who cannot function in society without the appropriate amount of support need a diagnosis and they need medical support. But I think there is room to doubt that people at the very mild end of the spectrum are actually benefiting from the diagnosis. I think we have to have some reservation about diagnosing people with very mild neurodevelopmental problems who might actually be better served by being supported without a diagnosis. I have become really, really concerned about all of the exceptionally young people I see who have long lists of medical diagnoses. And some of these people, they're gathering lists of diagnoses, but it doesn't seem to be making them any better. The point of a diagnosis really is to lead to treatment, and people their lives should be improved by a diagnosis. But I've come to recognize a pattern where people are accruing diagnoses that really aren't leading to what a traditional diagnosis should, which is a prognosis, a treatment and recovery. And I've been forced to ask myself why that's happening and try to address that.